Last week, I told you of James Forten, the sailmaker and abolitionist who, in his younger days, went privateering in service of the revolutionary cause. Forten's presence on board a warship was by no means unusual. Both the Continental and the British Navy employed a great many black sailors, as skilled and experienced hands were always in high demand, regardless of race. Unfortunately, however, these black sailors were rarely promoted and almost never allowed to hold an officer's commission. One highly notable exception to this unfair and prejudicial policy was John Perkins. Although little is known of Perkins's early life, he was probably born in Kingston, Jamaica, of mixed African and European heritage. As a young man, he worked as a pilot, guiding ships through the many dangerous reefs and sandbars surrounding Jamaica's harbors. It was during this period that Perkins' career nearly ended before it had even begun. While piloting the 60-gun Achilles into Port Royal, Perkins made an error, and she went aground. He was court-martialed and forbidden to ever again pilot a Royal Navy warship. This sentence might have ruined another man, but not Jack Perkins. His knowledge and experience were simply too great for the British Admiralty to overlook. In the words of the 1812 Naval Chronicle, his knowledge of different ports, etc. in the West Indies was perhaps seldom equaled and never surpassed. And so, in 1775, at the outbreak of the American Revolution, Perkins was back to piloting warships. 3 years later, and he had his own first command, the schooner Punch. With her, he took an astounding 315 enemy ships in just 2 years. It was also during this time that he picked up the nickname Jack Punch, in reference to his pugnacious little vessel. Perkins rose through the ranks, making lieutenant, and then receiving an acting command as master and commander. Unfortunately for him, but perhaps fortunately for the enemies of Great Britain, Perkins' promotion was never confirmed, in spite of the recommendation of his commanding officer, and even the governor of Jamaica, who said of Perkins, "By the gallant exertions of this officer, some 100 vessels were taken, burnt, or destroyed, and above 3,000 men added to the list of prisoners of war in favor of Britain. In short, the character and conduct of Captain Perkins were not less admired by his superior officers in Jamaica than respected by those of the enemy." Even so, at the end of the war, Perkins was turned upon the beach, a half-pay lieutenant with few prospects. Little is known of this chapter of Perkins's life. It is often said that he turned to piracy, and perhaps he did. But whatever his activities during this time, they did not prevent him from returning to naval service at the start of the French Revolution. Over the next several years, Punch was assigned to a number of different ships, slowly working his way up the Royal Navy hierarchy. Then, finally, in 1800, Jack Punch made post captain, becoming the first black officer in the history of the Royal Navy to ever hold that esteemed rank. Although he would only serve another 4 years in the Navy, the remainder of Punch's career was by no means uneventful. He would command several different warships, most notably the 22-gun HMS Arab and the 32-gun HMS Tartar. He fought a number of creditable actions against the French, Dutch, and Spanish, and even went as British observer to the island of Haiti, where a successful slave rebellion had recently ousted French colonial authorities. In 1804, Perkins retired. It is rumored that he finally visited England, which, in his nearly 30 years of faithful service to the crown, he had never actually seen. Whether he did or not, for the next 8 years Perkins lived quietly in Jamaica, finally passing away in 1812, just months before the start of a new war with the United States. We can only speculate, but had he lived, Jack Punch may well have gone to sea once again, to do battle with England's erstwhile colonies. Perhaps it is well for us that he did not, for, in the words of his obituary published in the Naval Chronicle, he annoyed the enemy more than any other officer by his repeated feats of gallantry and the immense number of prizes that he took. Truly, an opponent worthy of respect.